Welcome, members, to another episode of From the Archives. My name is Lesley Jones, and I'm the Collections and Archives Manager at the History Center. In these episodes, I will be taking you into the archives and sharing items with you that have a fascinating history behind them. Today, let's take a look at a piece from Gainesville's past. This artifact is a certificate presented to Miss Ann Dudley for outstanding service in the field of tuberculosis. The certificate was made by the North Georgia Tuberculosis Association and is in great condition. Let's talk about the history of the piece, and then I'd like to share the life of Miss Dudley. Did you know that tuberculosis has been found in bones from the Neolithic period? That's almost 6,000 years that humans have dealt with the devastation that tuberculosis brings. Queen Nefertiti died of tuberculosis in ancient Egypt. In ancient China, the priests of the Song dynasty called tuberculosis shijai, or translated in English, dead body. The disease was also known as consumption and the White Plague. But the word tuberculosis did not emerge until the 1860s. They used Latin to construct the word tubercule, describing the tube-like masses within the lungs of TB patients. While vaccines began production in the 1920s, it is still in the top 10 causes of death in the world and continues to be prominent in Russia, Southeast Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa. The North Georgia Tuberculosis Association had its own building in Gainesville. The address for the association was South Sycamore Street. Big thank you to Johnny Vardman for confirming with my research that the street was renamed E.E. Butler Parkway. More specifically, it was located between Green Street and Broad Street. That means the association was 2 lights away from the land where the History Center is today. Unfortunately, we do not have much information about the association, but in my research, I did find the duties a nurse would have to perform daily for TB patients. Take the patient's temperature, pulse, and respiration every 4 hours. Feed those who were too weak. Bathe each patient. Administer medications. Keep the patient's bedside orderly and clean. Notify the head nurse if any symptoms get worse. Many of the nurses would die from contracting tuberculosis from their patients. It was daunting and, quite frankly, a very brave and admirable job within the hospital. Miss Ann Dudley was born in Columbus, Georgia in 1908. Columbus is about 3 hours from the History Center. And, fun fact, our amazing interim director, Libba Beecham's alma mater is Columbus State University. Miss Dudley had 3 brothers and sisters, and she was the only member of the family to move from Columbus. Once receiving her nursing degree, she moved to Gainesville and became the nurse for the Hall County Health Department. She was also the nurse for Camp Takeda, also known as Bernal Lake. Miss Dudley lived on Green Street, where the post office is today, and lived there until 1994. She was a nurse from 1942 to the late 1970s, and was someone local residents still remember today. Gainesville resident Diane Robertson said, "She lived in the same rooming house that I stayed in on Green Street. I would see her most every day as I was going to work." Mary Jo Coker said about Miss Dudley, "I remember Miss Dudley, the nurse from Hall County Health Department, that came to Main Street School to give us vaccinations. You could always know she was there by the strong smell of alcohol that she rubbed on your arm before your shot. She was very sweet and kind." While in Gainesville, she was a member of the local Daughters of the American Revolution and a congregant of Grace Episcopal Church. Deb Prince Kroll remembered seeing her every Sunday at church as a child. Grace Episcopal Church is across from Pierce Hall of Bernal University, and it can be seen and heard at the History Center. Miss Dudley was named Woman of the Year in Rotary Club in 1957, but according to some of our board members, who are members of Rotary, women were not permitted into the club until the 1970s. I think that makes her award mean more. They saw her work and praised her for it regardless of gender. Miss Dudley passed away in 2001 at the age of 92 in Lawrenceville, Georgia. She is interred in her family's plot at Linwood Cemetery in Columbus. We do not know if Miss Ann Dudley donated the certificate herself or if someone she knew donated it for her. If you know Miss Dudley, please reach out. She sounds like an absolute treasure to the community and a very interesting woman. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of From the Archives. It's because of members like you that we get the opportunity to delve into the research on these amazing objects. Please comment if you have any questions about Miss Dudley or about the artifacts that we have here at the History Center.